Warning: the following video contains disturbing material that may be inappropriate for younger viewers. Parental discretion is advised. It sounds like stuff from Pulp Fiction. A serial killer who abducted his victims and set them loose in the Alaskan wilderness, then hunted them down with a knife and a rifle. Robert Hansen made it a nightmare reality for dozens or more women he plucked from the sleazy Tenderloin district of Anchorage, Alaska, between 1973 and 1983. Described by one of the women who escaped as looking as a stereotypical nerd, the small, acne-scattered Hansen appeared to have been motivated to kill by little more than the base desire to get back at the world in general, and women in particular. Born in Pocahontas, Idaho, on February 13, 1939, Hansen's father, Christian, was a Danish immigrant who ran his own bakery. A strict disciplinarian, he soon had his son working at the bakery at all hours. This did not help Robert's social life as a teenager, neither did the young man's acne or his stammer. After Robert left school, he carried on working for his father, while also signing up for the Army Reserves. In 1960, he married a local girl, however. His marriage seemed to have provoked him into making his resentment overt. Shortly after he burnt down part of the local high school, he was arrested and found guilty and sentenced to 3 years in prison. His wife responded to discovering his unsuspected side of her new husband by divorcing him. Shortly after his release from prison, Hansen remarried and spent the next few years moving from state to state. In 1967, the couple decided to make a new start and head for America's last frontier, Alaska. They settled in the main town of Anchorage, and for the first time, Hansen seemed to find a place where he could fit in. He had used his times in the Army Reserves to become an expert marksman and was now able to put his skills to use, gaining the reputation of a leading outdoorsman. Somewhere along the way, though, killing wild animals failed to fulfill Hansen's need for revenge. The year after the last of his record-breaking animal kills, he was arrested for the attempted sexual assault of a housewife and the actual sexual assault of a prostitute. The sexual assault of the prostitute was not taken too seriously. He only received 6 months in prison. According to his own confession from 1973, Hansen developed a routine where he would pick up prostitutes and topless dancers from Anchorage's Tenderloin district, fly them out into the wilderness and sexually assault them. If they submitted to his sexual whims, he would let them live and take them back to Anchorage, with the threat that if they reported anything that had happened to them, they would be in big trouble. He murdered those who did not comply by setting them loose in the wilderness, giving them a head start, and hunting and killing them. His activities went entirely unnoticed until 1980. Anchorage during the 1970s oil boom was a wild, dangerous town where the law struggled to make its presence. People came and went unpredictably at the time. In addition, there was plenty of wild country where Hansen could hide the bodies of his victims. In 1980, however, the bodies of 2 young women did come to light. One, found by the construction workers, has never been identified. The second was a topless dancer named Joanna Messina. At the time, the police weren't able to find any leads, nor did they come any close to finding a suspect when 2 years later, the body of another topless dancer named Cherry Morrow was found by hunters in a shallow grave. By now, the police suspected they were dealing with a serial killer, but they had nothing to connect that theory with the convicted rapist, Robert Hansen. Far from being a suspect murderer, Hansen had by now become a respected citizen. He claimed a large insurance settlement following a faked break-in at his house, and had used the money to start his own bakery. He now lived in a pleasant house with his wife and 2 children, and even had his own small private plane. In June 1983, all that changed. A trucker picked up a prostitute running down the road with a pair of handcuffs tailing on her wrists. He took her to the police station, where she explained that she had been picked up by a client who had taken her to his house, sexually assaulted her and brutalized her, then taken her to his private plane. She had managed to escape at the last minute, and was convinced that if she hadn't run, the man would certainly have killed her. She led the police first to the house and then to the light aircraft from which she escaped, both belonging to Robert Hansen. Hansen denied everything. He produced an alibi claiming to have spent the night in question with 2 friends. With no more evidence than that unsupported word of the prostitute, the police decided not to press charges. 3 months later, however, another body was found, that of Paula Golding. The police task force called the FBI serial killer expert John Douglas, and they decided to have another look at Hansen. Under questioning, Hansen's friends admitted that the alibi was false. Hansen's house was searched and the police found weapons used in murders, plus IDs taken from the victims. After some initial resistance, Hansen made a deal whereby he would only be charged with 4 murders and serve his time in federal prison. In return for this, he confessed to many other murders in which he was never charged. He took state troopers on a tour of the wilderness, in the course of which they were able to recover 11 bodies. Several of them remain unidentified. On February 18, 1984, Hansen was convicted for murder and sentenced to life, plus 461 years, where he would spend the rest of his days until August 21st, 2014, age 75. Hansen took his final breath. Cause of death was natural causes. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment who you think the next serial killer is going to be. And also remember to comment down below anything having to do with the video for a chance to be on a daily shoutout. You can also follow me or reach out to me on Twitter, and I have a Twitch channel that I play some games on. Both will be linked in the description down below. Until next time, guys. Sweet dreams.